My child had to go to Robert E. Lee. All three of my children had to be bussed out at Robert E. Lee. My community said, if you could make it better, if you could keep it open, that's our first choice. If you read the webpage, we'll keep it open. That's fine. If Mr. Blocker could keep it open, this board could keep it open, fine. But it's coming up again. And we'll be back here, like my friend, the librarian, told me, we'll have to fight it again. And I said, we sure will. But we are looking at something that is going to try to settle a couple of schools, because you don't even understand when you talk about the number of kids. If I asked the little young lady that stood up here, she doesn't even realize that black kids that lived in predominantly white neighborhoods are being bused from Pine Hills all the way over to Carver. These kids should be going to Meadowbrook, Robbinswood, and Southwest, and Lee. My child should not have to have gone to Lee. I have 3 grown children. 3. And they are all in their 40s and 50s. 3. And they had to go to Robert E. Lee. Out of my neighborhood, and guess what? Ray McKelly went to Robert E. Lee. And the kids in that neighborhood is still going to Robert E. Lee. You don't even understand what this zoning is all about. Some people may have an opportunity to do what you are begging to do. Stay in your neighborhood. And that's what we would want. And that's what we would fight for, if it means it. You don't even have the history. These kids can't even go to Memorial, which was predominantly white. See, the whites left the community, and you left us in the state that we are in today. And nobody on this board stopped it. And we were all old enough to stop it. But nobody came to a meeting to stop the previous boards from segregating the communities and allowing the white flight. Because that's what happened. That's why the biracial is white. Because it was black and it was white. You need to understand it. So what I want to say tonight is, when you speak about Richmond Heights, if Richmond Heights have an opportunity, you want to know who thought about the K-8. I thought about the K-8. But some of the board members say, no, you weren't the first one. There were several people that had the intelligence to come to all 9 of my meetings. And they liked what they heard. And they took it back to their community because it was better than nothing. Because we had to make a choice. And our first choice was to keep our schools. The second choice, look for an alternative. And our alternative, we came up with the K-8 for Richmond Heights to save it. We came up with moving Grand Avenue to save Orange Center and to save Light schools. Those are the most highest mobility schools in this county. Did you know that? And at least Orange Center could show successes. Why do you think we put the K2, the pre-K2 in Grand Avenue? Because it had been struggling. Parents came to me from Grand Avenue over and over again and said, my kids are going to Conway, Shenandoah. I went to Mr. Blocker and said, well, somebody, the counselor should have told them. If they're brothers and sisters, they should have gone together. But the mother is going to 3 schools. And the pre-K. Doesn't make any sense. And they said, if you could keep our family together. Richmond Heights said, we don't want to move, but if you could keep our family together. All the children live behind Eccleston and over to the left side where they should be going to Metro West. But will this board zone those kids to Metro West? You need to know your history. I will not take abuse. I teach every day like you do. I started teaching in 1966. I retired before some of you were born in 1989. I went back to teach in 1996, and I am an award-winning teacher in both counties. So I want you to know, you are not saying anything that we don't want you to think that that I am a dog, that you have to bark at me, because I will bark back. We are here to get something done for children, so don't you knock what might be good for another community. As Mr. Rhodes said, I don't know if it would be good or not, but if they ask for it, you can't knock it. You can't speak about their history. Some of you weren't even born. So I'm going to say this. It does not matter to me what you do. It matters to me what you do to the children, and how white flight has gone on in Orange County so long. One lady even got up here tonight and said, if you do this, you're going to cause. Do you know 40 people called me from Lake Highland Prep and said that they would love to come back into Orange County Public School, but they would only come back if they make it a K-8. But the K-8 came out of our first meeting. And we stayed until 12 o'clock in this building, brainstorming what can we do to save our schools and to bring our children home. Like you drive. It's not about you. It's our turn. It's not your turn. It's our turn. It's all of our turns. It's the children's turn. So it ought to be worked out. And if people have had meetings and try to work out what is good for them, how dare you knock it? But it does not matter to my heart right now after hearing tonight. Whatever decision you make, I am a great follower. I know how to follow. Some of you jump up to lead and don't know what leading is like because you've never followed. One thing I boast about as a seasoned teacher, I can follow. And I don't have a problem with it. So whatever decision is made tonight, Madam Chair, not tonight, but when we get through this rule making, I'm with it. But I'm not going to sit here and let people block things that can happen and bring other communities together because some of you are selfish.
Thank you, Mrs. Gordon.